At Clemson, South Carolina last week, Tiger linebacker Henry Walls made this fourth down game-clinching tackle to hand Clemson a 24-17 victory over Wake Forest for their fifth straight win and remain unbeaten against ACC opponents. In College Park, Maryland, the North Carolina Tar Heels came within this onside kick of remaining unbeaten and third-ranked in the nation. North Carolina losing to Maryland 28-26. Today, the Tar Heels try to turn things around. They still have a chance at a 10-1 record and a New Year's Day bowl game. Today, from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, it's Clemson trying to keep their streak alive versus the Tar Heels of North Carolina. Sports presents Clemson Tiger football. Today, it's the Clemson Tigers against the University of North Carolina Tar Heels from Keenan Stadium in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. This Raycom Sports exclusive is brought to you by your local Burger King restaurant, where the switch is on for flame-broiled burgers fixed your way. Aren't you hungry for Burger King now? And by Miller High Life. Welcome to Miller Time. Clemson won the toss. They decided they wanted the choice for the second half. So North Carolina elected to receive here in the first half. There you see Walter Black, number 11, along with Mark Smith, deep for North Carolina. Smith to the near side. Donald Igwebuike set to kick off to get this game underway. A low liner. That's Mark Smith. The 20 makes it to the 26-yard line. The Tar Heels first and 10 at the 26.
Mark Smith returns the kick.
Taking a look at the offense for North Carolina now. Stan Cabbage, their very fine quarterback. Tyrone Anthony, the starting tailback, and Colson at fullback. The receivers for North Carolina, Smith, Winfield, and Franklin. Tight end, very fine tight end. The interior line, and Blados is quite a ball player. First down to the tailback up to the 28-yard line. Anthony on the carry. He's averaging 5.5 yards a carry this year. Edgar Pickett making the stop on the first play of the ball game. Pickett, after a great ball game last week. Robinson, Devane starting at middle guard today. Ray Brown and Roy Brown. The two linebackers, Henry Walls and Eldridge Milton. And the secondary, Davis, McSwain, Childers, and Watson. Watson, the leading tackler in the secondary. Anthony, the lone remaining running back now. Stan Cabbage back to pass, goes to his tight end, deflected very nicely by Henry Walls. It was intended for Arnold Franklin, the tight end. Franklin, a mighty fine pass catcher and blocker, but Walls, good coverage that time.
And Walls waving to the North Carolina crowd to cheer. Let's hear it. Also the Clemson people right there. A lot of Clemson people here. Looks about 3,000 or 4,000. He wants them to yell for him. They're away from home. 50,000 North Carolina fans here, and the crowd could make a difference in this ball game.
Winfield, Griffin, and Smith. All the wide receivers are split out. It's Smith in the slot as Stan Cabbage goes back. His back's also flaring. Fumble! Was it a reception to begin with? It goes out of bounds. No one controlled the football. Edgar Pickett making the hit. Brown got the good pressure, and the punt team comes on for the Tar Heels.
Stan Cabbage passed short in the closing drive against Maryland. He tries it again here, but the linebackers very active, and the defensive backs for Clemson. Now watch Robinson here, number 83. He kicks that ball before he can pick it up, and he kicks it out of bounds. It was called incomplete. North Carolina controls, and they will punt.
Tommy Barnhart, who's averaging 40.1 yards a punt. Billy Davis is deep as the rush is on, but can't get to the football. Davis the fair catch. Good field position at the 42-yard line. So the Tigers get their first try at offense.
Intensity was a question for Clemson. They played 3 opponents in the last 3 weeks that people felt that Clemson should have blown out of the stadium. They didn't. All 3 of those games went down to the wire. Some say this team plays as well as they need to win. They'll need to play very well today to beat North Carolina.
Clemson leads the series 18-12, 1 tie. It started way back in 1897. Epley at quarterback. He's on the roll.
Epley keeps.
Good defensive coverage, and finally batted down by number 39, Micah Moon. Moon's their second leading tackler, has 1 interception on the year.
This play has everything from the North Carolina standpoint. Great defense. That's first down play action. Very tough to defend against. Look at the contain. They contain Epley. He gets inside, and now watch Moon go up in the air. He gets up high enough to deflect that pass intended for Kevin Mack.
Second down, 10 from the 42. Stacy Driver tailback, a fumble. And a scramble for the football. I think Clemson got it back again.
We've seen 2 fumbles now, one by Carolina.
Alert play by Ray Williams.
Yes, and this one now by Clemson. There's a little bit of jitters here. Clemson trying to run up the middle. A snap never handled by Epley, and this ball is loose quite a while. It can make you nervous on the sidelines. As you see, Mack dives right past it. He was the intended ball carrier. Look at Williams against the bigger defense. He makes the play, and that's a tremendous play. Griffin, who is a much bigger player than Williams, trying to get that ball ahead of Williams, but he gets it.
3rd and 13. Long yardage. That's Ray Williams in motion. And off to Driver. Driver's got 1 man on the corner to beat. Close to the first down. I don't think he quite got the first down before Butch Griffin pushed him out.
This is a game where we're going to see excellent athletes, superior athletes throughout the game. That cannot be said of all college football games, but North Carolina and Clemson, we talked about it in the open, have the great players, and you'll see tremendous athletic ability all afternoon.
Stacy Driver once again on the carry. The last 2 weeks he's been the leading ball carrier for the Clemson Tigers, coming off a career high of 124 yards in 25 carries against Wake Forest last week. He ran the ball 11 times.
Driver's the type of back you love to see on a draw play because a draw creates its own space. It's a deception play. He's got that just incredible quickness when he gets loose. You saw him outrun Griffin almost for a first down on that play. Driver 11 carries on the last 12 plays of the winning touchdown drive last week. Walter Black is deep. You see him there standing on his own 11-yard line, and Bob Pauling, or Dale Hatcher rather, the junior punter, is in, averaging 44.3 a kick. He's had 10 punts inside the 20-yard line. He hangs it high this time, sending him over toward the far sideline. Fair catch is called for at the 19-yard line. So with no score here in the first quarter, we'll pause now for a word from your local station. This is the Raycom Sports Network. There you see the weather conditions here at North Carolina as they take over 1st and 10 at the 19-yard line. Pitch back to Anthony. Anthony tries the right side, gets over the 22 to the 23-yard line where William Devane makes the stop. Both these teams want to run the football. They are run-oriented. Clemson rushing for 250 yards a game. North Carolina very close to 300 yards a game on the ground. That's not total offense. That's just on the ground. First down is very important. They'd like to get 4, 5, 6 yards on that first down.
Mark Smith in the slot. Winfield comes to the near side out of the power I. Anthony. Flag goes down as Anthony, trying to battle his way, finally is met by Tyrone Davis from the secondary along with Keith Williams, number 57, the linebacker. Let's check the penalty flag, though. That was on a 2nd and 6 from the 23-yard line, and it will be an infraction against the Tar Heels.
This is a very powerful offensive line for North Carolina. Maybe the strongest part of a great football team. For them to have to hold early means somebody in there may be having a little bit of trouble blocking on the line. Clemson's got that good defensive line. We may see some holding.
There you see Richardson and Pickett. Pickett, the leading tackler in the front line, coming off the finest game of his career against Wake Forest. 19 tackles, 3 for loss. He had a deflected pass. Now has 10 tackles for losses on the year. Edgar Pickett calling the defensive signals there as they get ready now for a 2nd and 12, Kevin.
Check that penalty. That was illegal use of the hands, which is not holding, but getting your hands out a little too far. Same thing, actually.
Anthony Steele, the tailback now. Stankevich shouting out to his wide receivers. Had to reach back for the ball. It was intended for Mark Smith, but the pass was off its mark. Rod McSwain on the coverage, number 28. You see him there.
One of the things that we felt Clemson has been lacking in a little bit, maybe lateral pursuit. Let's watch William Devane, number 94, on this play. He gets good pressure on Stankevich. You'll see him. Okay, we lost it. 94 came out, got in Stankevich's face, may have been responsible for him throwing behind the receiver.
Stankevich has completed 1 of 3 for a -4 yards. 3rd and 12, big 3rd down play at their own 18-yard line. Anthony fumbles the ball, but gets it back again, and very alert for Ray Brown, a 3-year veteran from East Rome, Georgia, came in to secure him.
Backs do not look at the ball when they are handed the ball. They're looking downfield. That may have been the problem there. They always look downfield. It's an automatic thing. The ball has to be in the same place each time. Anthony just simply mishandled it. They do not watch it into their stomach. They watch the defense.
Barnhart for his 2nd punt. The first time he had a 34-yarder. It's a low driving kick that sends Davis back to the 41. He decides to run with it, and it might have been wise to call for the fair catch with that kind of coverage. Nevertheless, the Clemson offense coming on the field right now has another good field position situation. Barry James making the tackle. There you see Epley in his finest season as a quarterback, coming off 5 great ball games. Stacy Driver and Mack, the running backs. Ray Williams, Boyer, and Dunn, the receiving corps. And the interior line led by potential All-American James Farr. 1st and 10. The ball placement on the 40-yard line. Mack, the fullback. It's Stacy Driver at tailback, and he gets the call. Good hard hit as Driver gets to the 42-yard line. A gain of only 2 yards on the play before Willie Harris makes the stop. Harris has made 57 tackles so far this year. There's the North Carolina defense. Outside linebackers and interior line. And the linebackers Shepard and Moon, the leading tacklers of this ball club, and James Black, Harrison, Hendrickson, the defensive secondary. 2nd down, 7 to go from the 43. Kevin Mack, the ball carrier. Penalty flag down as he makes his way to the 45-yard line for a gain of 2. Bill Shepard making the tackle. He has 88 stops this year. 53 of those initial hits. Shepard from Jacksonville, North Carolina, an experienced senior, 6'1", 224 pounds. Conferring with Clemson on the call, Danny Ford giving some instructions.
That was an interesting formation. They lined up Driver, normally the tailback, at a wingback position, put him in motion, and he led the blocking for Kevin Mack. And normally it's the other way around. That's a new twist. We haven't seen that from Clemson, and that may be out of respect for a very, very tough North Carolina defense.
Defense that reacts with speed. Offsides on North Carolina.
This is the situation Clemson would like to be in. 2nd and short. It opens up their offense, gives them the opportunity to do just about anything.
Mack is the lone remaining running back. That's Boyer in motion, heading back to the far side as Mack gets close to the 1st down at midfield. Once again, Micah Moon, the linebacker, got the initial hit on the play.
Micah Moon is a great name for a linebacker. Scary. That's the way it ought to be. Scary. Here comes Micah. Look out. That's going to be
with
short.
only 34 tackles last year. He was a fullback when he got here in his freshman year.
Played behind a very, very good linebacker. Chris Ward last year from North Carolina, all ACC. Micah had to wait his turn, and now he's got it, and he's making the most of it.
3rd down and inches now for Clemson. Bullard in at the wingback. On the short yardage situation, and it's Epley on the keep. We'll see how they unstack them and where they place the ball at midfield. It appears that he got over the 50-yard line. He needed about a half half of the football there, and it's still very close. But it's good for first down yardage. Clemson on that play, on the short yardage play, bringing Bullard in at a wing back and Riggs in as an extra tight end along with K.D. Dunn. Dunn stays in the ball game now. Butler goes to the far side, and it's Rulak to the near side. Terrence Rulak, the very successful freshman receiver. Mike Epley puts Stacy Driver in motion with Kevin Mack, the lone remaining back. He flares out. It goes over to Driver. Good pursuit. And Driver just barely gets back to the line of scrimmage if they place the ball that far. North Carolina sniffed that one out.
Tar Heels get great pursuit. Defense is not only the initial reaction, getting to the hole immediately, but sometimes when they throw wide like that, it's the offside, recognizing what the play is, somebody containing it, the rest of the guys getting over. That's what happened, and Fuller made a nice play on that. He got in on pass rush and made the tackle on the run.
Fuller and Snipes with the stop. Second down and 11 now for the Tigers at the 50-yard line. Stacy Driver. Driver with a very nice move, moving it up to the 45-yard line before Walter Black making the tackle.
Let's take a look at All-American William Fuller, number 95 to the left center of your screen. This guy's a player, and that's far, an All-American candidate trying to block on him, but they use a cross block on Fuller. And that's an excellent way to go against a guy who's so tough. And here's Driver, who just gets through the hole so quickly that he can go through the smallest hole, and the holes will probably be small. Good block by Swing there.
Big third down play, 3rd and 5 on the option, and Driver bounces off his hands. Let's see if he got the ball back again. Yes, he did. Well, Clemson's been called upon some good reactions. A very difficult pitch to handle.
Well, we talked about early in the year on the option, right, and the pitch was difficult. You make the quarterback make a decision. They tried to throw the option or run the option into the short side of the field. That was about a 2-yard pitch, and Epley let it go pretty hard, just couldn't handle it.
Hatcher hung one for 29 yards and no run back in a similar situation, but he shanks this one out of bounds. And probably his poorest punt of the season right now, as the ball placement is at the 26-yard line.
Clemson has not played a team, I don't believe, since early in the season when they played Georgia that's as powerful physically as North Carolina. And an observation on Hatcher, most of his punts have been from the 20-yard line where he can just boom it. He's trying to steer the ball from the 50-yard line. He only needs 30 yards, and his strength is kicking the ball a long way. He's trying to kick it 40 yards, pulling up a little bit on it, and he yanked it out of bounds.
There you see the leading passers in the nation. Stankiewicz, number 4. Number 6 is Epley in passing efficiency. 1st and 10 from the 28-yard line. Anthony collared behind the line of scrimmage by Eldridge Milton from Folkston, Georgia. Milton actually got good penetration, came back to get him that time.
Clemson defense is running about 3 gears high right now. Normally they come out and they haven't really played with the great intensity. They're very, very intense out there. You can feel it up here in the press box. And North Carolina's defense also. Defense is controlling this game now.
Anthony, 4 carries for 5 yards. Truitt out of the ballgame at tight end. Arnold Franklin bringing the play in. On the 2nd and 9, Anthony. Very little running room. Squirming out of the hold of Terrence Mack.
Terrence Mack made good penetration there. He got a hand on Anthony as he was coming through, but he tried to catch him high. And if you look at Anthony, most of the backs now that play football are very strong in the upper body. Didn't used to be that way. Anthony was able to pull away from Terrence Mack, but not before Scott dragged him down for a short gain.
3rd and 7 from the 32. Stankiewicz hands it off to his fullback, Colson. Colson gets back to the line of scrimmage, and that's just about all before Eldridge Milton makes the hit.
Defense is aggression. You have to come and force things to happen. Watch Jim Scott. He comes right at the block, knocks Anthony inside. And what he does is he forces Colson to swing outside a little bit. And when he does that, the rest of the defense, Milton, can catch up and make the tackle. But you can credit Scott for making that play.
Barnhart averaging 37.5 in his previous 2 kicks. Gets a beauty away, sending Davis way back. It's bouncing on the 12. It looks like it'll go into the end zone. It does. So a break for Clemson, actually, as he got his foot into that one.
69 yards from the line of scrimmage. That was a career kick, and a bad break that the thing went into the end zone.
This is Art Ekman with Kevin Kiley from Keeneman Stadium in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. We're in the first quarter with no score in the ball game. A great defensive game, Kevin.
These games average about 19 points, believe it or not. The winner gets 19 points in these games, and both of these teams go through the season getting 30 and 40 points, so you know the defenses will control a big game.
Epley at quarterback. Flowers is now his tailback, along with Kevin Mack at fullback. Flowers gets the call, veers out. Good pursuit, but he makes the most of it up to the 25-yard line, a gain of 5, where Larry James makes the tackle. James with 21 tackles on the year.
Remember, we've got two kinds of tailbacks for Clemson. They split time between Driver, who's the quick darting runner, and Flowers, who will drift behind the line of scrimmage and look for a hole. They've got Flowers in there now because I think Driver was ineffective. Danny Ford wants to find out if this defense maybe can be had by a runner like Flowers.
Charleston in the slot to the near side. Alley is in motion. Pitch back goes to Flowers. Doesn't quite get the first down as he makes it up to the 29-yard line. Micah Moon from the linebacker spot making the tackle. We've got some interesting matchups in that front line, Kevin.
Yeah, well, they sure do. They have Farr, of course, for Clemson, is the outstanding offensive guard. Clemson would like him to be an All-American. He's been great all year. He grades out very highly, but then he's going up against William Fuller, who is already an All-American and needs to be double-teamed. Look for a lot of cross blocks on Fuller, a lot of trapping, a lot of pulling.
Third down and 1 at the 29-yard line. Braxton Williams and Kevin Mack both in there, and Braxton Williams blocking for Mack as he gets the first down over the 30-yard line. Bill Shepard, credit the tackle to Shepard. He's from Jacksonville, North Carolina, an experienced senior. We mentioned prior he's the leading tackler on this ball club.
Epley, you see the graphic there, is the most improved player offensively for Clemson. He runs the offense, and he has grown, even as Art and I have watched him throughout the year. He can do so many more things than he could early in the year, and may be the key factor in this game.
Hitting 64% of his passes in the last 5 games. Certainly has opened up the offense for Clemson. Flowers once again going to that left side. They're really testing the left side.
Well, they're running behind their best offensive lineman, James Farr, and that's what you do in a big game. You like to run behind your strength, no matter what the strength of the defense is. And James Farr, let's face it, number 60, right there, center of your screen, is the strength. What he's trying to do there is slip past the defensive player and go out and get the linebacker, but Carolina's too smart. They dragged him down before he could get the linebacker.
Second down and 8 with 4:45 remaining in the first quarter. Trying to break out of the grasp of Bill Shepard, but he just couldn't do it. Moon also helping out on the play. Those two linebackers very active.
And listen to the crowd. Clemson has 3 or 4 backs averaging over 5 yards a carry, but there are yards and then there are hard yards, difficult yards. This is a game where all the yards are going to be difficult yards.
3rd and 5 at the 37. Boyer and Williams, the wide receivers to the far side. That's Williams in motion. Epley goes back, fakes to Flowers. No, he handed off to Flowers, and Flowers is pounded behind the line of scrimmage at the 34 by Ronnie Snipes. Snipes with 31 first hits he's had. That's his 5th tackle for a loss this year.
It was Fuller that really made the play. Fuller got the great penetration. He made the running back step to the side, and Snipes, the middle guard, who usually sits on a draw play, was there to make the tackle.
Walter Black, you saw him. He's deep. Hatcher getting his first long punt try away. It's a beauty. Sending Black back to the 12-yard line. Black with great speed. Dragged down from behind. And it's Kevin Mack, the big fullback, that made the tackle. We'll be back with more Clemson football after this word from Burger King. First and 10 now for North Carolina at the 46, their best field position of the ball game. Stan Cabbage back to pass, throws it on the far side, complete to Winfield.
Let's take a look at this punt. Black gets the punt. It's a long punt, 55 or 60 yards. It's a middle return. You see him crossing in the middle. The blue shirts are crossing. They pick off the Clemson players, and Mack makes a nice play as he sits on Black. That's what you're supposed to do. You wait for him to come. Don't take the fake. As soon as he makes the big fake, the big move, you go and get him, and that's what Mack did.
2nd and 6 with 3:19 remaining first quarter. Horton is in at tailback. Pass off the hands and some pretty good coverage. It was Terrence Mack putting his hands up on the football, and it was intended for Larry Griffin. You see him there returning to the huddle. 3rd and 6 at midfield. Stankavich is 2 for 5 with no passing yards right now. Dumps it over quick to the replacement tight end Dave Truitt. And Truitt gets the first down just shy of the 40-yard line. Childers on the tackle.
Last week, Stankavich liked to go short. They're doing the same thing against Clemson. This is like a goal line play. It's a very tough play to defend against. The receiver gets out there quick. They throw the ball quickly, and they pick up just enough for a first down. Very tough to defend against. That Clemson did not do a bad job.
At the 41 on the first down, flips it over the outstretched hand of Mark Smith, number 45. Dangerous pass as the defender was cutting inside. Childers had a good shot at that ball if it wasn't overthrown.
That's right. Childers was underneath the pattern, and so he had to throw it high, and because of that, it was over the head. Dick Crum wondering how his team is going to come out today. Their first loss of the season. Lots of bowl scouts here, most of the big ones, and it's got to be a little nervous. This is tough competition for Carolina.
2nd down and 10 now at their 41-yard line. The pitch back. Horton. Quite a story, this Horton, as he gets up close to the first down. Chucky Richardson, the linebacker, making this stop on the play. Horton suffering that knee injury against Maryland, but what a tremendous recovery, Kevin, with this new medical science we've got.
Arthroscopic surgery last Sunday between the Maryland game and the Clemson game, and Ethan Horton is back at it 6 days after surgery. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk about arthroscopic surgery later.
3rd and 1 at the 32. On the carry once again, and Keith Williams meets him there.
I have not had a chance to see Horton much this year, and I'm wondering if that's his running style, but he appears to be limping a little bit and using his shoulders more than his legs to bull into people. He's not actually running. He's diving into the defense. We'll watch him.
He got the first down, however, at the 27-yard line. So the first serious threat of the ball game by the Tar Heels. Griffin wide to the far side. Mark Smith in motion. Stankavich looking for Smith, but he dumps it shorter, and it was intended for Griffin. James Robinson giving good chase on Stankavich that time.
One thing about a rollout, it does give the quarterback more time, but it also tells the defense that you're trying to throw to the side that you roll out to, and you normally have a lot more coverage than you would if you drop straight back when you have to cover the whole field. Clemson is reacting very well to that rollout by Stankavich, and they're getting a lot of people around the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if they pick one off here.
Jones in at fullback. Horton is on the wing to the far side, and Jeff Ray, a sophomore from Durham, is the tight end. Pitch back to Horton. Has very little room, and the linebacker, Keith Williams, number 57, comes in to fill the hole.
All right, Carolina now running to the short side of the field. It's a pitch. It's not really a quick pitch. It's a pitch back to the tailback, Horton. Now, he cuts inside here, but Keith Williams makes the picture-perfect hit. Helmet right in the shoulder pads and drives Horton backwards. His legs have got to be weak after surgery, whether he's in there or not.
Looked like Perry forced that play into that hole, too, as well. Horton is 3 carries for 12 yards on the day now. It's a 3rd and 12 at their 29-yard line, the Clemson 29. 1:17 remaining, first quarter. Stankavich in the play action. Just simply zips it right over the head of Larry Griffin. Clemson, I've got to be impressed with their pass coverage so far in this ball game. They've got more than one person right around that ball.
The entire defense has played well. The orange blanket has come to play today. Truthfully, it's been a few weeks since we've seen him play with this kind of intensity. Duke took him to the wire. NC State took him to the wire. Wake Forest took him to the wire. And now they're playing a nationally ranked team, and they seem to be in control defensively.
Stuart Phillips will be the snapper. Scott Stankavich, the holder. Brooks Barwick trying a field goal, and it is way short. Their kicking game has been very inconsistent this year.
There's Barwick's got to be a little bit upset about that. And then, of course, Mark Smith fumbled a kickoff when he was wide open, and Maryland scored soon after that. So those things have got to be in their mind. The special teams need to play well, get some confidence.
Usually they bring Bob Rogers in anything over 40 yards. 1st and 10 Clemson at the 29. 1 minute, 2 seconds remaining in the period. The pass complete to Ray Williams, having a great freshman year. The redshirt Ray Williams hauling it in, and Willie Harris makes the hit from the secondary. 1st down, Clemson.
This is play action. 1st down. Great rushing defense for Carolina, so Dan Ford says we'll pass. And Ray Williams averages almost 19 yards a catch. He's running loose in the secondary, and that's to be expected on play action. Willie Harris defending on that play. Good defender.
2 out of 3 for 19 yards through the air so far for Epley at the 49-yard line, the 1st and 10. Rulak in motion this time, goes to Flowers, and he just barely gets back to the line of scrimmage. William Fuller, good pursuit. He's got 4 sacks on the year and 7 tackles for losses on the year.
Well, William Fuller running around loose in the Clemson backfield is going to cause problems, and that's what you saw. They beat his block, and he was there for the handoff.
Fuller has forced 15 errors by the opponent's offense this year. Williams to the near side, and Boyer is to the left on a 2nd and 10 from the 49. Braxton Williams is the fullback. Epley on the straight drop. Lets it go toward Williams, coming across the field, incomplete. With the score, and with no score in the ball game, let's pause now for a word from your local station. This is the Raycom Sports Network. It'll be 3rd and 10 for Clemson at the 49-yard line as we begin the 2nd quarter of action. Mack has carried twice for 6 yards, Driver 3 times for 20, Flowers 4 times for 7. Most of that in his 1st carry. Butler, Rulak, and Williams in the lineup right now in your wide receiver spots. Flowers is at tailback. Braxton Williams blocking at fullback, and great pursuit. Epley dumps it off. He had a receiver there as William Fuller got the grasp on him.
Fuller did something just before that ball was snapped. He stepped outside and got in an eagle position outside the offensive tackle. He never even put on a fake. Top of the screen, number 54 trying to block him. Look at Fuller from the outside. Never even puts a fake on. He beats Cruz, Jeff Cruz, and he's just got Epley. Epley takes a deep drop, and he's right in the line of fire.
Hatcher into punt. Black waiting inside his 15-yard line. A beautiful hanging punt. Let's see what the pursuit is like. He takes it at the 10-yard line, and he makes it up to the 19. Good move by Black. Crawford, the tackle on the play. Craig Crawford on special teams. So North Carolina in the scoreless battle takes over from their own 19-yard line.
When you have a defensive game like this and points are precious, a guy like Dale Hatcher has got to be almost an MVP. The last 2 punts he's kicked have been 50, 60 yards in the air. Great hang time. And look at the field position Carolina gets with a little bit of a run back.
Horton and Colson, the backfield. Horton at tailback. Stankiewicz goes to his fullback Colson, and he's met immediately by James Robinson. Robinson that puts all 275 pounds into the runner.
Robinson may be the most improved lineman on the Clemson team. He's been a factor the last 2 weeks. He's been as visible as you can be, and for defense, that's the mark of a good player. If you could say he's a visible, active player, you see him, you know he's around the ball. Robinson has been just that and played very well. He accents the middle guard position very well. Devane and Perry, they work well together.
Over 50 tackles this year. 2nd and 7 from the 22-yard line for the Tar Heels. Horton on the carry. And the tackle made by William Perry. Chucky Richardson also in on the play.
Let's take a look at an accident looking for someplace to happen. This is Brian Blados, 300 pounds. He's pulling, he's looking for somebody to hit. There's just nobody there, and he finally trips over his own player. But if I'm wearing orange, I'm staying away from that guy.
Blados quite a specimen. 3rd down and 5 at the 24.
I wouldn't call him that, Art, not in front of him.
Stankiewicz. It's the short man, Truitt, coming across the middle and gets it to the sideline at the 41, the 1st down before Terrence Mack can apply the tackle.
That's a drag by the tight end, Truitt, backing up Arnold Franklin, who went out with a knee injury, some kind of a leg injury earlier in the first quarter. Just a drag underneath the coverage. A good play, very well conceived underneath the Clemson pass defense, and Carolina gets a first down.
Truitt does have as many catches as Franklin on the season now, with 16 catches, averaging 11 yards per catch, and he's got a touchdown. Stankiewicz ignoring the pressure, and the penalty flag will go down. It'll be pass interference. Billy Davis got the hit a little bit too soon.
This is a tough call on Davis. It's good pass defense. Clemson also gets a little bit of pressure on the top of your screen. You'll see an orange helmet, white jersey come in. He's picked off. Can't get the number on him. Stankiewicz steps up as he should. This ball would not have been caught, I don't believe. Let's take a look. It's a little high, and Davis going up at the same time. Hard to tell, and almost caught again. Almost caught again behind. I don't know that would be pass defense. Very difficult to tell from here. Smith was the second receiver, number 45, that almost picked it off.
First and 10 at the 48-yard line. Stankiewicz wisely puts the ball into the right hand before Arrington comes up from that side.
Ethan Horton, he of the surgery and the bad leg. There's a story there, a Ram. That's a North Carolina mascot. Tar Heels, Rams, why? That goes back to 1920. In fact, that Ram looks like he's about 60 years old. Now they look at him. Looks like he's seen better days. Horton with the bad leg tripped on that play. It was a broken play, and Stankiewicz picked up 6 yards on it.
At the 47-yard line. Tar Heels with a second down call. Horton still driving his legs against Jeff Wells. Wells finally brought him to the ground, but not after a first down.
We spoke about Horton and that we hadn't seen him. We don't know how he actually runs the ball, but he does look like he's having trouble running. But look at here. He drags tacklers. You would think after surgery he would lose strength in those legs too. That was Wells hanging on for dear life. If this guy hadn't had surgery, he might have got in for a touchdown.
Part of his flak jacket has been taken off.
Yeah.
5 carries, 21 yards for Horton. First and 10 at the 41-yard line. Up the middle, Colson breaks out of the pack, and another first down at the 29-yard line. Eldridge Milton called upon to make the stop.
First responsibility of defense is to know where the ball is. Who's got it? Colson now limping off. Clemson lost sight of the ball. They had the play stopped. They plugged up the hole, but they didn't know who had the ball. And Colson just felt his way along the line of scrimmage till he found a hole, and down the field he went.
William Perry back in a nose guard. Steve Berlin also up front with Scott on the other side. First and 10 for the Tar Heels at the 29-yard line. Horton met first by Walls. They're getting a good opening at the line of scrimmage.
Carolina's got that big offensive line. Let's go along for you. Franklin, if he was starting, 240 pounds. Blados is 300. Naron's 261. The center, just a freshman. Barton, 255, 260, and 265 across the line. These guys are big. They can wear you down.
Conwell, 6'6", their right tackle at 265 that time. Second and 4 for the Tar Heels. Horton was putting his head down. Looks like he's got the strength that you were wondering about. Walls making the tackle.
Well, the offense delivers a blow now. The running backs never used to do that. They used to try to get away from you. Football has changed. And Horton goes into the hole, looks for somebody to hit, and he gets underneath Walls and was able to drive him back. Henry's got to get a little lower and get the leverage and pick Horton up off the ground and try to get those legs out from under him.
Deepest penetration for North Carolina. Horton now 7 carries for 30 yards. First and 10 play. Horton called upon again. Penalty flag down. Could be a hold on William Perry. Perry was getting some holding action that time. Barton, I believe the center, was trying to keep him out of that play. Let's check it and see.
Let's see if we can pick it up. Interesting that North Carolina would run to the right. Blados, number 60, top of your screen on the left, is your All-American candidate. This is just power when you start pulling tackles from the offside. See Blados just above Horton there, looking again for somebody to hit. Horton gets low, but a good stick there by number 42, Pickett. Drops him down, and a holding penalty on top of that.
Penalties against the Tar Heels.
So a good break for Clemson now, as North Carolina, on a very effective drive, has the ball placed back at the 28-yard line.
Offensive holding.
They've been penalized 3 times for 20 yards so far here in the first half. We've got 10 minutes and 32 seconds remaining in the second quarter. It'll be 1st and 20 for the Tar Heels at that 28-yard line.
Dick Crum asking his 300-pound tackle. I find that amazing to come across the formation and get in front of a tailback on the opposite side of the formation, and he's getting it done.
Stan Cabbage leading at offense. It's ranked 3rd in total offense going into the Maryland game, and now he fades back to pass, looking deep, batted down by Henry Walls, going high into the air to get a hand on it.
Number 55, Walls. He's been all over. You remember the great tackle he made a couple of weeks ago, and or I guess say a week ago, he made a tackle to win the game for Clemson. Here, Stan Cabbage sees a man. He's got a lot of orange helmets around him, but he stays in there cool, and that's what a linebacker has to do, get in the line of fire. This is Smith. He's the intended receiver. He's going out, but Walls gets his hand on it, stops the play.
Good chance for completion if Walls hadn't got his hand on it on a 2nd and 20 now. They try up the middle, but stopped after a 3-yard gain. Pickett came in to make the tackle.
Yeah, Walls helped out on that one, too, and it was a tremendous shot from the inside. Offside pursuit for Clemson. They're gunned up for this one, and they want it, and they're getting all over. They're getting up and down the field on defense, and that's what's important. There's Henry Walls, just a freshman. Just a freshman. He'll be back 3 more years.
Horton now in 8 carries has 33 yards. Good shot of Dick Crum. 49 wins, 17 losses, 1 tie. While at North Carolina, 3rd and 17. Horton gets the call, slips a tackle, and is finally met before he gets back to the original line of scrimmage by Ronald Watson. Watson, a junior, 58 tackles now on the year.
See how much bigger Horton is than Watson.
Jimmy Scott had a shot at him there and kind of slowed him up a bit.
Well, I'm starting to think that that's Horton's running style. He's he's one of those guys that always looks hurt. Remember Jimmy Brown years ago? Always looked like his legs were going to come out from under him, and then he'd run 60 yards. Horton has that same type of slow gait, and then bang, he explodes.
Brooks Barwick to try his 2nd field goal try of the day on the 28-yard line. The placement, tries for the 38-yarder, looks long enough. No good, though. Off to the left. So with 8 minutes and 47 seconds remaining to be played here in the second quarter, still no score. We'll be back in a moment. Williams in the slot. 1st and 10 for the Clemson Tigers at the 21-yard line. Make it. They've got it on the scoreboard 20, but it's 21. The pitch back goes to Stacy Driver. Driver using his speed, bobbles the ball once again. He's having some problems, but it goes out of bounds.
Stacy tried to get his hands on the defender, and I think he tried to use both arms, forgot about the ball. Good back will do that. He'll hold the ball and stick his hand out, try to get some leverage between he and the tackler. That was Walter Bailey, and Walter brought him down, caused a fumble, but still picked up 7 yards.
2nd down, only 2 yards to go. Driver now with 26 yards. He's had a couple of fumbles on the day, though, but so far the Tar Heels haven't picked it off. Alley in motion. Back to Stacy Driver once again. He's got some good running room. Stacy accelerates almost to midfield. They're going to place it at the 48-yard line.
Tackle by Hendrickson.
Kevin Mack with an outstanding block. Hendrickson finally the tackle.
Offense tries to create space. Defense tries to cut down on it. Clemson wins here. Look at all the room for Stacy Driver, and he has the great speed and the great acceleration over the 40 and driving up close to midfield. A tremendous run. Good blocking by Clemson.
Willie Harris caught the block of Kevin Mack, and Steve Hendrickson had to make the tackle. 1st and 10 at the 48. 8:13 remaining second quarter. Mack, the ball carrier, gets it to the 50-yard line. A gain of only 2 yards on the play before Snipes. Ronnie Snipes, a junior from Durham, makes the tackle.
Tigers' first priority, their philosophy, is to run inside. That's why their fullback does so well. You see his stats there. They need to run inside. I think we're going to see a lot more of the option. That spreads the defense out. They need to spread Carolina out.
Mack and Driver in the eye. Epley passing to his tight end, done. And And done down to the 31-yard line. Willie Harris finally making the tackle. Beautiful play fake, set that one up.
This is an option fake, and Dunn is the recipient. He's wide open because they have to come to force the option. They fake the option run, and Epley executes perfectly. Dunn's wide open. That's the result, and you will see a lot off the option today.
11 catches on the year for Dunn. Epley is now 3 out of 6 for 37 yards through the air. Rulak to the far side, and Butler comes to the near side on the 1st and 10 at the 32-yard line. 7:20 remaining second quarter. That's driver in motion. Mack gets the call. Pulls his way at the 25 and down to the 24, maybe the 23. Steve Hendrickson once again a tackle.
We saw this play earlier with driver in motion leading the blocking, but then Mack tried to come inside. This time he steps outside of driver and the offensive line. Scene, he has room out there, and he's able to go all the way into the secondary before Blaylock and Walter Bailey can come in and make the tackle.
2nd and 2.
Second down, only 2 yards to go at the 24. Charleston and Alley, the wideouts. That's Alley in motion to the near side. Pitch back to Stacy Driver. Penalty flag. William Fuller making the stop. He's from Chesapeake, Virginia. It's a 5-yard penalty. Clemson has been penalized twice so far here in the first half for 12 yards. North Carolina has been penalized 20 yards.
On the year, the Tigers 70 penalties, 564 yards coming in, and that's about a third more than their opponents have been.
Butler, Rulak, and Williams the receivers, but the pitch is to Stacy Driver. Williams could not quite get the block for Driver inside the 20-yard line, but it is first down yardage on a great play by Stacy.
We talked about spreading this defense out. You have to respect Mack. You get the ball out quick to Driver. He has room, and down the field he goes. As you see the linebacker Shepard trailing the play and finally making the tackle, but not before Clemson gets inside the 15-yard line.
1st and 10, 14-yard line. Driver now with 60 yards here in the first half. 3 wide receivers as the ball goes right up the middle to Mack.
For those of you that don't understand the option, what happens is you get assigned people when they run the option. In other words, the middle linebacker, the middle guard, they maybe have the fullback. The defensive end or the linebacker on the outside has the quarterback because he's going to come to the end, and then somebody, a defensive back or safety, takes the pitch man. It does spread the defense out. The problem with it is you have to throw the ball in the air, and that causes turnovers.
2 tight ends. Dunn and Riggs, and that's Rulak in motion. Stacy Driver tries it up the middle. Ronnie Snipes making the tackle on the play. It was a 3rd and 7 from the 11-yard line. They're keeping the ball, I should say, a 2nd down and 7. Now it is 3rd, and after the 3-yard gain, it'll be a 4-yard situation for that first down. They'll have to get inside the 5-yard line, not quite to the 4 for a first down. 4 minutes, 51 seconds remaining, second quarter. Charleston and Williams to the far side. Williams is in the slot. The Carolina fans coming alive right now. They want their defense to hold. The handoff on the delay to Driver, and Driver has nowhere to go. A great tackle by Butch Griffin.
Well, that's goal line defense almost. It's a modified goal line defense. They're coming on the draw play. You're just looking for a seam, somebody to overrun the play. Butch Griffin right there, number 83. Very experienced. He knew what he had to do. He came up, made the tackle.
Pauling is 11 out of 13 from the field goal department this year. Bob Pauling trying the field goal. Peretti will be the holder. Williams is the snapper. Ball placement now at the 17-yard line, and the 27-yard attempt is up. It is good. So Clemson is the first team on the scoreboard this afternoon with 3 minutes and 59 seconds remaining in the second quarter. With the score, Clemson 3, North Carolina nothing. We'll pause now for a word from your local station. This is the Raycom Sports Network. Mark Smith to the far side. Walter Black to the near side. Igwebuike end over end puts it deep into the end zone. And Smith decides not to run it out. So Clemson moving the ball 67 yards in 10 plays, capped by Pauling's 27-yard field goal is out in front 3-0 with 3 minutes and 59 seconds left here in the second quarter. And the great kicking game of Clemson really shining now.
Special teams ranked among the top 10 in the nation. Pauling and Hatcher and Igwe-Buike are the strength of the special teams. Obviously the central performers, and they're doing the job today.
Devane in at nose guard. 1st and 10 at the 20 now for the Tar Heels. Stankavich. A short flip. And it's Colson. Eddie Colson, his fullback. Childers making the tackle.
8 of 7 to the 27.
Keith Williams also in pursuit. There's number 71, Conwell. We talked a little about his size, but we really didn't identify him. He's 6'6", 265. Right tackle. Stankavich 5 out of 12 now for 32 yards. Brings his team to the line of scrimmage on a 2nd and 3. Ball at the 27. Anthony. I should say Horton. And James Robinson is there to make the tackle.
Tackle by James Robinson.
Robinson has had himself 3 outstanding games back-to-back on the defensive side. He deflected that pass against Duke, you might remember, in the final seconds of the ball game. And has been a heads-up tackler all season long.
Deception is a big key in any football game, to any offense, really. And when you become predictable, you lose your effectiveness. Carolina and Clemson both today have been predictable.
Anthony and Jones, the backfield. The Stankavich rolls out. Fires the short one, and it's complete to Jones. They like to go to their fullback. Roy Brown making the stop.
Tackle by Roy Brown.
First down yardage over the 30 to the 31-yard line, so they got it by a yard with 2:50 on the clock.
First down.
Carolina has not gone downfield with their passing game. Not in the first quarter, not here in the second quarter. They're throwing everything short, trying to set up that running game. And so far, 2 missed field goals have been the difference. Clemson made theirs. Carolina missed 2 of them.
Griffin to the far side, and Smith is in motion now for North Carolina. 1st and 10 at the 31-yard line. Linebacker pursuit, but they got it away. It's caught by Griffin. He stopped immediately. Penalty flag is down at the 35-yard line. Rod McSwain making a nice tackle from that secondary.
In some defenses, if they roll your way, you come. Watch Richardson, the linebacker. The angle of pursuit is all important here. He cuts inside, but he takes a bad angle. And you saw Stankavich, number 14, get outside of him. Here, you'll see it again. A great shot by the guys here. Watch number 56. See him? He just goes by in the left corner of the screen. If he had taken a different angle, he might have been in the way of that pass. Illegal receiver downfield for North Carolina, and that's loss of down and distance.
And so far, 25 yards being marched off against North Carolina in the first half has certainly not helped. It's 2nd and 15 at the 26-yard line.
Screen and draw, screen and draw.
Winfield and Smith, the wide receivers. And it's Anthony on the carry. Scrambles after getting hit at the 30-yard line. We'll see where they place it, probably at the 33, where Jeff Settle will be credited with the tackle.
Player down for Carolina holding his leg.
33.
We'll be back with more Clemson football right after this word from Burger King. Willie Austin, 260-pound right guard, comes out of the ball game. Bobby Pope, number 7, he's in for him. 3rd and 8 with 2 minutes 9 seconds to go in the second quarter. Stankavich back to pass. Good coverage, but he gets it away, and Griffin makes the catch. We could have had some pass interference on that play as well. One receiver was dumped pretty hard before the ball got in the air.
I told you Arnold Franklin was a good receiver, number 80. This guy's so good, they knock him down whether he gets the ball or not. Watch this. He's running a good pattern. He's covered. And they say, hey,
whoops,
just get rid of this guy. That's subtle there. He actually trips. I think he trips over his legs. He doesn't really knock him down. There's a good catch there on the reception, too, and a first down for Carolina.
At the 49-yard line. 2 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Dumps it out low, and good pressure by William Perry that time on the rush. It was intended for Anthony. Tyrone back in at tailback for Horton.
Keith Williams laying on Anthony's back there as he went for the ball. A lot of times when they overthrow a ball low like that, both players offensively and defensively, they'll lay out. I mean, they'll dive for the ball, and one looks like he's on the other, but he's actually over him, and that's why you don't get a call on that play.
Second down with still 10 yards to go at the 49. One thing the play did, it didn't take much time off the clock. Stan Cabbage with good pressure gets rid of it. Oh, he had all kinds of room, and he gets it away, and it's caught by Mark Smith. Mark Smith on a one-on-one coverage.
This is great defense and great offense. Watch Stan Cabbage. He finally goes downfield. Look at the pressure on the backside by Pickett, and then Richardson is going to come and hit him in the face, but not before he lets go with a perfect pass to Mark Smith, and McSwain with pretty good coverage, considering there was a full blitz on that play by Clemson, and it's man-to-man coverage all the way, and that wasn't bad coverage on Smith.
North Carolina on the move now with 1:51 on the clock here in the second quarter. 1st and 10 at the 32. Stan Cabbage has 4 receivers downfield, intercepted by Mack. Terrence Mack, the bandit, and a run back underway. To the 49, make it the 48-yard line. What a break for the Tigers of Clemson. Eddie Colson and Arnold Franklin making the tackle on Mack.
Why do they make quarterbacks? Why do they make quarterbacks into linebackers? Here's Smith running a good pattern. And he's looking downfield, and he sees Terrence Mack catch the ball. He says, oh, no. Hey, you got to chase him now. I mean, he's got the ball. Let's take a look at Terrence Mack. This is why they make quarterbacks into linebackers, just in case they get an interception, because they can run like the devil once they get it. And here goes Terrence Mack back to the 50.
1st and 10 now from the 48-yard line. Epley, he gets it almost intercepted. He can't hang on. It was intended for Flowers out of the backfield, and Ronnie Snipes, a nose guard, not normally your pass catcher. I don't think he was a quarterback at high school.
That's why they don't make nose guards into quarterbacks. Well, here's Mack again. Let's take a look. That's a great catch by Terrence Mack. You have to be a heck of an athlete to make a reaction like this. Now look at the run. This guy must have been an option quarterback. Look at him go. I think he just gets tired there, and he gets dragged down at the 48.
2nd down and 10 at the 48-yard line. Epley dropping straight back. Got plenty of time. Good protection. Oh, and a nice pass right inside a triad of defenders. It's Richard Butler making the catch.
It's a funny-looking pass by Epley. I thought that pass was going to be either very short or out of bounds. It wasn't all that good a spiral, but it got there, and it was a 1st down.
It was a difficult pass to complete, though, with the angle the defenders had. It was good placement. Joe Kapp never had a good-looking pass either. 50 yards through the air for Epley now. 1st and 10 at the 39-yard line. 1:10 on the clock before halftime. Flowers, good running room. He got hooked by Williams on the block. This time Williams got his block away. And Larry James finally makes the stat on Flowers.
Well, they're going to give Flowers the yardage, but I'm going to give Kevin Mack the credit. Kevin Mack makes a terrific block at the point of contact, and Flowers reads it inside and goes outside for the big yardage. Look at 27 right there. Look at this block. That's a J block, they call it, inside out, and Flowers just takes off from there. Brian Johnson, 255 pounds, is the guy that Kevin Mack knocks down, and Larry James makes the tackle much later at the 21-yard line.
47 seconds on the clock, and it's rolling. 1st and 10 at the 21-yard line. Clemson would like to get on the board again before halftime. Epley handing off to Flowers. Flowers get out of bounds. He does so and stops the clock with 33 tickers left.
Remember I said
Larry
deception.
James.
Remember I said deception is important. Okay, 1st down. Carolina looking for maybe a running play, a short pass, but not a draw play on 1st down. Everybody's pursuing. Flowers finds a seam, gets up here. Right there, he should have made a right angle out of bounds. Carolina helped him, pushes him out of bounds. Clock is stopped.
6 carries for Flowers for 31 yards. Williams in the slot to the near side. 2nd and 4 at the 15 for Clemson. And off to Mack. Mack battling his way. Does not get to the 1st down marker before Aaron Jackson makes the tackle. So a real big play coming up now for the Tigers. Williams and Rulak to the near side. Boyer is to the far side. 3rd and 2. Flowers, he does not get it, but he gets good field position for a possible field goal try. William Fuller, the big guy, to make the stop. Ball placement is actually on the 20-yard line, so this will be a 30-yarder.
Center of the field.
Peretti to hold. 12 seconds on the clock before halftime. The placement looks good. It's high enough, long enough. It is good. And so Clemson, with 9 seconds left before halftime, puts 3 more on the board. They went 39 yards in 6 plays with Polling's 29-yard field goal, we'll call it.
This game be dead even if Carolina had hit 2 field goals inside the 40-yard line. And special teams have been the difference. You're looking at Pauling right there, an outstanding kicker. Punting, place kicking, returning kicks. They never seem important until they cost you a ball game. And, of course, North Carolina should be zeroing in on it after last week losing to Maryland on a bad snap from their center and also a drop ball on a kickoff return. They should have spent a tremendous amount of time on special teams. I'm sure they did this week. However, Clemson's winning on their special teams play, and Carolina is losing because their special teams didn't execute the field goal.
Clemson has won 5 in a row, looking for number 6, and this is a big game for them. Walter Black and Mark Smith. There you see Black, number 11. He's to the near hash mark. Donald Igwebuike to kick off for Clemson. So far, he has not had one returned. This one is returnable from the 1-yard line. Making his way to the 18-yard line is Mark Smith. And that's where the Tar Heels will take over with only 5 seconds on the clock. Richard Donaldson making the tackle on the special teams play for the Tigers. That's the first time in some time we've seen one returned. Igwebuike coming into the ball game with 35 out of 47.
Donald has an off day when he kicks it into the end zone, not over the end zone.
Got a power eye. They're just going to run the clock out and go into the locker room and regroup. 1 second. Now 000's up on the scoreboard. That is the end of the first half. With the score, Clemson 6, North Carolina nothing. We'll be back with halftime after these words from your local stations. This is the Raycom Sports Network. Here at halftime with Clemson leading North Carolina 6-0. Art Ekman and Kevin Kiley. And Kevin, we've seen North Carolina try the short passes to the tight ends. We've seen them try the intermediary passes and a great interception by Terrence Mack. Does this mean they might have to go longer?
They're going to have to do something. This is a defensive game, and I love defense. You know, I was a defensive player, and I like to see teams play with intensity and get up and pound and hit. A lot of people don't like defense. This is a big, big defensive struggle, 6-0, and I think Carolina's going to have to come out with more intensity no matter what they do offensively to try to offset some of that defensive intensity by Clemson.
Well, in a very quick first half, we saw special teams be the difference.
Special teams, of course, have played the difference, right? Carolina missed 2 field goals. Clemson made 2 field goals. The score is 6-0. Obviously, if Carolina had converted 2 inside 40 yards, it would have been a 6-6 score. The big key, I think, is the ability of Clemson to stop the Carolina running game. North Carolina only rushed for 67 yards in the first half. They've been averaging close to 300 a game.
Well, let's take a look at those halftime statistics right now and see the comparison. North Carolina with 10 first downs, Clemson 8. Yards rushing, Clemson has rushed for 102 yards in the first half. Only 67, as Kevin mentioned, for North Carolina. North Carolina with a slight edge through the air, but it's Clemson leading in total yards. The 1 turnover, the interception by Terrence Mack, taking the ball away from North Carolina. Time of possession, 15-10 for Clemson, 14-50 for North Carolina. We'll be right back with the second half of today's game after this. Clemson Tiger football on Raycom Sports is brought to you by Miller Lite, everything you always wanted in a beer and less. And by your local Burger King restaurant, where the switch is on for flame-broiled burgers fixed your way. Aren't you hungry for Burger King now?